Ready? Okay. Hi, I'm Allison Reed, and the claim I'm responding to is homosexuality is caused by biological differences in a person's brain, not by environment or physical surroundings. The advocate's secondary claims are: number one, some people are gay even when raised by straight parents. Number two, there is neurological and hormonal proof that homosexuality is based on the brain. And number three, the animal testing also proves homosexuality is based on the brain. In the advocate's first secondary claim that people can be gay even though they are raised by straight parents, the evidence was introduced that if one identical twin was gay, the other had a 50% chance of also being gay. The man who did this research, J. Michael Bailey, did a follow-up study of sexual orientation in twins and found a much lower rate of similarity, 20% instead of 50%. This new data shows the inconsistency and unreliability of the original data presented by the advocate. The evidence of childhood gender nonconformity was also introduced in the advocate's argument, but this evidence is flawed since the only real data has been taken from boys. Studies on childhood gender nonconformity focusing on girls have been inconclusive and generally shows a girl's tendency to be a tomboy, not homosexual. If this evidence were valid, childhood gender nonconformity relating to homosexuality would be applicable to both genders. This first claim is begging the question. The advocate is essentially trying to prove that homosexuality is based by biological differences in a person's brain by saying that the biological differences in a person's brain causes homosexuality. They are begging the question instead of staying on topic that people are gay even when raised by straight parents. The advocate focuses on twin studies, but there are all kinds of factors that can come into play with twins, such as parental favoritism or sexual exploitation, that could happen to one twin and not the other, resulting in different environments. In addition, there are kids who do not show signs of childhood gender nonconformity and come out as gay later in life, and vice versa. The advocate's secondary claim, evidence by neuroscientist Simon LeVay, is introduced that shows there is a difference in the size of the clump of neurons on the anterior hypothalamus between gay and straight men. This evidence, however, is nowhere near certain. All the research is 19 years old, and LeVay points out himself that his findings contain no direct evidence that the difference he observed actually causes homosexuality, and it's possible that the clump of neurons could have changed size because of behavior. Also, the advocate's statement that a gay gene was discovered by the researcher Gene Hamer is inaccurate. A Canadian team of researchers were unable to replicate Hamer's findings, and his own laboratory team could only find mixed results after trying to replicate his research. The advocate's argument that the size of the clump of neurons on the anterior hypothalamus indicates homosexuality is inaccurate cause and effect reasoning. In reality, it is not certain whether the size causes them to be gay or if their gay behavior causes the clump of neurons to shrink. Both LeVay and Hamer studies only have to do with gay men. If the subject of homosexuality is really going to be looked at as biological differences in a person's brain, as the advocate suggests, both males and females should be included in a true study, since sexual orientation concerns both genders. The advocate's third secondary claim is that animal testing proves homosexuality is based on a human's brain, not the environment. I believe the evidence the advocate brings up about the studies of manipulating androgen levels in rats is irrelevant since we're talking about biological differences in a human's brain. Also, it's common knowledge that female and male animals will mount animals of the same sex to establish dominance. According to veterinarypartner.com, females will mount other females when they're in heat. This could explain the advocate's example of the rats in the study. Also, if the male rats could sense that the female rats were in heat, it would explain their behavior as being environmental, not biological. So thank you, and I hope you agree with my refutation of the cause of sexuality.
All right, all the structural things are solid. It's easy to follow. Your secondary or your supporting points on the individual points, sometimes you start with the evidence, and it's a little bit easier, I think, to make the claim first and then use the evidence to back it up. When you're analyzing the evidence that the advocate presents, I thought you did a good job. In a couple of spots you had, for example, follow-up evidence, and there was maybe additional discussion about whether the study was complete in the first place, and I appreciated that. I didn't always hear source citations on that on that material. So it's either coming from the original source citation, it's a caveat in their data, or it's a follow-up study, which definitely needs to be cited separately. So make sure that you do that also. Your explanation about potential alternative causes on all three of the points I thought was okay. It was better developed on the first and the third point. The third point especially. On the second point you had this general challenge. It could be some other relationship, but there wasn't really any information on that point. It was all pretty straightforward, like I said, easy to follow. Good deal. Thank you.